Have you ever wondered how to get sponsors?
I have. Hi, this is Reid from ReidAboutSex.com, creator of Sex Geeks Summer Camp, and when I'm wearing the camp shirt, it's business advice with Cathy from the Intimacy Dojo.
And I asked Reid to sit down and talk a little bit about he's running Sponsorship 411 Day.
What's that, Cathy?
It's a day of learning how to interact with sponsors, how to connect with them, how to interact with them, how to make sure they get what they need so they feel like they're winning, so that you win.
Yep. So if you're interested, if you run workshops or events, or you have a blog, or you do tours or things like that, and you want to figure out how to invite companies and businesses to help sponsor your projects, this is going to be Sponsorship 411. We'll give you the 411 on how to work with and liaise, or at least my opinion, and some geeky opinions of other mentors that I have and that Cathy has around the business of trying to acquire sponsorships and give extraordinary customer service to them so that they want to sponsor you over and over again.
It's all going to be tuned for sex geeks, for people that do sex education or sex positive relationship work. So it'll be all pre-filtered and inclusive and all that. And you have a special guest, at least one special guest that I know of.
Is that you?
No, well, I'll be there, but...
Is it
Daniel?
Is it Daniel? Yeah. It's Daniel from Trust Intimacy Massage Oil. We love him!
He's amazing.
And we love his massage oil.
He gave such a great talk at camp, at Sex Geeks Summer Camp, about sponsorship and integrity and what to look for. Not just like, oh, they have this many products and they have this much money. It's like, what is their brand? What is their mission? And how much can you feel safe with them? And can they feel safe with you?
Yep. So if you want to figure out how to be more professional for professionals, if you want to get over some of your fear of companies and speaking to people who run companies, if you want to learn the ins and outs, no pun intended for our sex educated friends, the ins and outs of how to approach companies, how to invite them, how to help them see what you're doing, and for what you're doing to make sense, and for you to figure out when a company might be a good fit for your projects and when they might not be, so you don't waste your time or their time, then Sponsorship 411 might be for you.
It's going to be, you can attend it live if you're in San Jose on November 21st, or you can attend virtually or get the recordings afterwards. Can you give one quick tip about sponsorship, something that you think that they would like to know?
The big tip, I think, is it's about clarity and you putting in the work to figure out how your invitation is going to add value to their business or their products or their fan base. The idea of just asking for money or asking for product is really just you kind of sitting on the street with a cup and a cardboard email that you're just like, hey, give me money. Lean into that you are all educators and educate the companies and the people that you're working with, because you're building relationships with individual people inside those companies. Educate them on why sponsoring your project might be really good and beneficial for their company, which means you have to do the work to figure out why you're actually asking them at all.
And I used to think that was so hard when I hear him talking about it. I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. That's really hard. Actually, once I saw him do that a couple of times, I'm like, oh, it's not that hard. It's actually just looking for the Venn diagram in a certain way. And once you've seen a couple examples, which you'll give at camp at the 411 day, it's like, oh, the light bulb goes off, and you start seeing opportunities everywhere.
It's really about figuring out a particular way of thinking about sponsorship. And if it doesn't work for you, if my way of approaching it doesn't work for you, then just chuck it or grab the stuff that does work and run with it. But the idea of 411 Day is to actually teach you the context for how to approach thinking about sponsorships, and then some strategies and tips and tools for you to make it easier. And then that, for me, that changed everything. I mean, Sex Geek Summer Camp isn't possible without sponsors helping me financially with camp.
And then they're generous and give oils and toys, and the campers are just delighted. They get to experience all these cool things.
But I had to design camp to also be a great fit for sponsorships, because the sponsorship part of camp is part of the business model of camp. So without sponsorships, camp actually physically can't exist because it's so low budget for attendees. So the way to make camp financially sustainable is through sponsorship models, and maybe for your projects or for some of the things that you're doing, or maybe even just to just augment the reach and the professionalism of what you're doing, sponsorships might be for you.
And they can build so much credibility and help people get to know you. If you want to geek out with some really cool people that are at the level of looking for sponsors, and build some really cool network connections, learn some cool stuff, show up for a sponsorship for one day, whether you show up virtually or in person. The link is below.